Welcome to the Shootin' Show. Stand by for shots fired.
Hello, I'm Johnny Rowland, your host of the Shootin' Show, and welcome to today's program. We're so glad to have you. We have a great show for you. We have some features I think you're really going to find interesting. We're going to start today's program with this great Wesson fixed barrel 357 Magnum. This is a 5-inch gun, a very fine shooter, as I think we're about to see. Yes, it is hot. It's about 95 degrees out here on the farm. I did have to move into my hat. I have my cool downer on, and these are available through the Bullet Express. We're selling them, I believe they're going for $9.95 each. And these really help on a real hot day like today. It keeps you much cooler. If you're going to have to be outside working, well, these things are really a plus. We get these from the good folks, the same people that make RB17. This is really a lifesaver on these hot days. Well, let's get underway. Let's take our Wesson 357, check my hearing protection. And yes, it is in. You know, it's pretty easy. Most guns, be they semi-automatic or revolvers, whatever else, can do this. Check our water jug here. Okay, yes, that is core-bound ammunition. But let me tell you what, a lot of them won't do this. See our steel plates out here at 100 yards. Let's see what that looks like. Well, there's one. Let's shoot another. Now, friends, we're looking at a very exciting handgun, certainly to me, and I'm sure it's going to be to a lot of you. This is the Wesson fixed barrel 357 Magnum. It has a 5-inch barrel, and also the Whalen grip. This is a grip option that they offer, and this has to be one of the nicest grip configurations that I've come across yet. It is so comfortable, yet it distributes the recoil of these guns, and I really don't understand why these Wesson guns do not have the same recoil sensation as, say, other 357 Magnum handguns. We've shot all kinds of 357s, but there's something about the engineering on these Wessons that these folks have done. They just don't seem to kick as hard. Now, this is a tremendous advantage for those of us who don't shoot a lot, and those of us who do shoot a good bit. Well, it really makes the gun much more comfortable to shoot with full power ammunition. As you can see, the finish is just out of this world on the Wesson guns, and I can't say enough good about these because they're such superior pieces. In my own personal opinion, the Wesson design is the single best revolver design when you take everything else into consideration. They're super accurate, as you saw at the intro of the show. It's easy to hit target. In fact, you can hunt deer with this gun with open sights at 100 yards if you're a fairly accomplished shot. And of course, you know me, Mr. Average here. I'm just your average shooter with a little bit of extra practice, so any one of you who are halfway decent shots could do at least as well as I can with one of these guns. They're just so easy to shoot. The action on double action is a little bit shorter than some of the other revolver brands, and the single actions are certainly just superior even from the factory. This is one gun that you can go out and shoot in competition. You don't have to have anything done to it. Just go get the gun and go shoot it, because they can win a silhouette match, or they can win an action shooting, action pistol or action revolver type match. It just depends. It gets back to the shooter, because these guns are really as good a technical piece as you're going to find. Certainly for the dollar value, these guns are running considerably less in retail price as their competitors. And I don't know how long the good folks at Wesson can keep their prices down, because really the guns are every bit the quality of the other large name revolver companies, are every bit and better, yet the prices at this time are a little bit lower. Like I said, I don't know how long they can keep them down there. But these guns are so much fun to go out and shoot. You know, it is more fun if you can take any sort of handgun, or any sort of gun for that matter, and go out and hit your target. And that's one of the things that these Wessons do make it easier to do. Well, let's shoot the gun, let you look at it. We've got the full charge core-bound ammunition. Let me add, we bench rested this gun a little earlier, and we got it 5 shots at 25 yards in just about an inch. Now, friends, that is superior performance from any 357 Magnum revolver. Just excellent performance. So let's shoot the full power core-bound, let you take a look at it in my hands, and you just don't have the massive amount of recoil we might expect. Let's shoot it again. Now, that's pretty amazing to me. Why this gun doesn't have more kick than it does And out of this 5-inch barrel, you're getting full charge performance. That's one of the nice things about the 5-inch barrel. You can see this gun is almost no bigger at all than your Colt 45 ACP government model, which for what it is a really compact handgun. So what we're talking about here, you get a better sight radius, better bullet performance than say you get with a 4-inch barrel 357. And the 357s, to really perform well, it helps them to have the longer barrels because you've got a lot of powder there that needs to burn. So I'm thinking the 5-inch gun on the 357 is really an awfully nice and often overlooked combination. But whatever this thing's doing, you're just not getting the amount of recoil that we would normally expect from a full charge 357. Now friends, we have our up close and personal target here. We also have our pro timer on, and let's do a little demonstration. We're going to shoot this gun along with the 45 ACP semi-automatic for 5 shots as fast as I can pull the trigger, and let's see how long it takes. I think this Wesson action lends to my speed a little bit. So let's go ahead. I'll get in position. I'll punch the start button on the timer, and it'll start me on the horn, and be sure that everything's in order. Yes, it is. Okay. It'll start me, and let's see how long it takes for 5 shots. Push the button, in position. Okay, 1.29 seconds, and realize, and we've got a couple of inch group there, which is not a bad group for full powered 357 Magnum ammunition. Now then, the 45 ACP is typically faster to shoot because you're not dealing with quite as much power. Well, let's see what it does. 1.29 seconds. Let's compare the two of them today. Again, using full charge ammunition in both of them. Punch our timer. Okay, 1.16 seconds for our 45 ACP, and we got approximately the same size group. So we're only about just a little over 1/10 of a second away with our full powered 357 Magnum. Now friends, you do have quite a power advantage over the 45 ACP with a 357. The 45 ACP is certainly a great cartridge, but you do have a power advantage. Now then, if you're shooting at 25, 50, 75, 100 yards, that's where the 357 really comes into its own. And that's just not much time difference, friend, for roughly 550 or so foot-pounds of energy per shot versus about 350 to 400 or so pounds of energy with the 45 ACP. So you're putting quite a bit more power on your target in almost the same time. You're looking at just over 1/10 of a second difference for 5 shots with the revolver as with the semi-automatic. And those people that are saying that there's a huge advantage in the semi-automatics, they're just flatly wrong. Personally, I prefer, normally in most situations, a revolver over a semi-automatic. One, I don't have to pick up the hulls from all over the field out here. And 2, I like the way the revolvers work. For those of you who are police officers, if you're still carrying a revolver and you're worried about firepower, you should be carrying a backup gun anyway. And you know, friends, the fastest reload's pulling your second gun. So, of course, these guns can be reloaded almost instantaneously with the various types of speed loaders that are out there.
Now, friends, we are extremely pleased to be working with one of the finest magazines that you can find in the United States today, and it's called The New American. And the April 4 issue, which you see on your screen, covers issues like Toward a Police State. Using a national epidemic of crime and violence as their justification, media pundits and collectivist politicians are aggressively campaigning to disarm private citizens and strengthen federal law enforcement powers. Yes, friends, this is our type of magazine, mostly because it's true. Now, these people at the New American Magazine are making a special offer available to the Shootin' Show audience for $22 for a 6-month subscription, including the April 4 issue here, which deals with gun control and the things that go on with the politicians in Washington on how they're literally trying to disarm the United States population. Now, trust me on this one. If you're a gun owner, you need to get this issue of the New American. And friends, this magazine comes twice a month. This is really a bargain. They cover all sorts of subjects, such as the Somalian quagmire, as you can see. And how about national service, if you really want the true picture of what this national service is all about? How about the conservative index for the 103rd Congress, subjects like terror in Haiti, the real Aristide? How about Bill Clinton and a question of character, which is most important to most of us, certainly as conservative Americans? And here's a tremendous article on the New World Army. Now, friends, this is one of the finest publications that I think you could find in print anywhere today. It is really a bargain. $22 for 6 months of the New American magazine. And remember, this is 13 issues, including this powerful gun control issue. And friends, I don't think you'll be disappointed. This, in fact, if you want to be informed about what's going on in the United States and all sorts of issues that are so important to every last one of us who are really patriotic citizens, you need to start getting the New American. Now, to get it, you can call them at 1-800-727-TRUE, and those numbers are 8783, 1-800-727-8783, and be sure and tell them that you saw it here on the Shootin' Show. It is such an important publication for our time, friends, and to really be informed, if you want to know the truth about what's going on in this country and around the world, again, you need the New American. 1-800-727-TRUE 8783, the New American. Now, friends, you can see this Wesson, the high polish it has. These guns are second to no one in their finish and quality of fit. Now, you remember, the Wesson has the latch up on the crane here. To take the cylinder out, you'll just push the latch down and push the cylinder out, like so. It's a very secure system, and latching here on the front of the crane does seem to give some accuracy benefit. Of course, we have the excellent adjustable sights that come on these guns. The trailing grip there that I'm really still trying to figure out why this gun doesn't recoil as much as some others. And to load the gun, we'll take our speed loader here, our HKS speed loader, put it in place and turn. And of course, we are loaded. Okay, let's take our look at our steel plates out here. Now then, of course, with a double action revolver, you have the option of cocking for single action fire. And watch that steel plate. Here we go. Yes, puts them down with authority. And we're shooting the full-powered ammunition just so you can see that recoil just doesn't hurt that bad. Of course, it works the other way. You can cock with the trigger. Yes. Well, friends, if it sounds like I have really enjoyed shooting this Wesson revolver, well, that's only because I have. Like I said, it's more fun when you go out there and hit whatever you're shooting at. The Wesson fixed barrel 357 Magnum with a 5-inch barrel. Yeah. The Shootin' Show will be right back after this break for your local cable company or TV station. You know, friends, all of us as shooting enthusiasts should be subscribing to Shotgun News, the trading post for anything that shoots. 3 big issues monthly with literally thousands and thousands of firearms bargains. Shotgun News, Post Office Box 669, Hastings, Nebraska, the zip code 68902. Their phone number is area 402-463-4589. For MasterCard or Visa for subscriptions only. Now call them at 1-800-345-6923.
Hello, ladies, this is Elizabeth Saunders with American Derringer. This is a beautiful area down here in the daytime, but how would you like to be walking along by yourself at night? This could change from the beauty of the trees and everything in the sunlight to very dismal. Wouldn't you like to know that you would have the right to protect yourselves? And with this little gun, you could do this very easily and concealable. And remember, folks, if these rights are taken away from us, you'll be walking down here at night by yourself with no protection. So please think about your rights in the Second Amendment, and also think about American Derringer's personal defense. This is what we focus on. Thank you very much.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we hope you're enjoying this week's program. You know, we're showing this Colt Sporter, which is a semi-automatic version of the M16 rifle, which is in common usage by not only our military, but a lot of militaries around the world. And you know, friends, I don't see a problem with us being able to own these guns, because we've been able to own guns similar to this as far as function goes for almost 100 years. And you know, when they get off these semi-automatic rifles, they're already talking about semi-automatic handguns, and yes, before it's through, they're going to go with revolvers and anything else that goes bang. But you folks know our counsel here, Leroy Scott, and sir, I think you had a word or two for us today.
Well, Johnny and members of the audience, you know, the gun ban bill passed the House of Representatives by just a single vote, 214 to 216, which means if just one person had changed his vote, it would have been a tie and it wouldn't have passed. Now, it occurs to me that we could do something to change Congress. And we don't need to change it very much. If we just had a few members of Congress that were changed. And I have a suggestion on how to do it. I've been involved in politics for a good many years, some successfully, some unsuccessfully. But there's one thing that you can always say about politics and what it takes to do the job. It's three things: money, money, and money. Now, it helps to have a good candidate, it helps to have a good program, but the media and the impression it leaves on people is probably the most important thing, and that comes from having a sufficient amount of money to spend. Now, we had lots of money. We could influence just a few races throughout the country. There are not many of us, and I include myself in that, there are not many of us who have enough money to influence a race. But together, we could do a whole lot. A whole lot. Now, here's what I'd like for everybody to do. I'd like for you to take a plain piece of paper here and fold it so it'll go in an envelope. Take a $1 bill. Everybody can afford a $1 bill. And stick that $1 bill in the envelope. Stick it in the folded paper. And then stick that in an envelope and address it to the shooting show. Now, you've got our address. You can address it to the Shooting Show Gun Club. You can get our address from that telephone number, or we'll furnish the address later on in the program. In the meanwhile, you can be getting an envelope so you can address it. Now, we've got over 1 million listeners. If every one of you gave up a $1 bill, which you wouldn't feel at all, gave up a $1 bill and mailed it to us, we'd have a Christmas fund that we could use, and I promise you it would be used that way, to defeat some of these gun-grabbing politicians. And, you know, that much money could easily influence several races throughout the country. And I've got in my possession a complete list of how the representatives voted on this gun ban. And of course we know how the senators voted on the crime bill. So it doesn't take very much. It just takes a little bit. But none of us can do it by ourselves. So that if we can get everybody on this program to put up $1 and mail it to us, we will put it to good purpose. Believe me, and you have my word on that. We will influence some races throughout this country.
Well, you want to call that our Christmas fund? That's a good idea. Because what would be a better Christmas present than to get some of these idiots in Washington out of office and put somebody just halfway decent in? and some decent people if we can find them. What do you think?
Well, Johnny, that's my idea. That's exactly my idea. I think I told you last week that I had heard from Ollie North. I had heard from Kay Bailey Hutchinson. Both of them are candidates in the Senate. Ollie North is a candidate against somebody who voted against us. Kay Bailey Hutchinson is one of the ones that vacillated at the last minute and caused Dole to tone down his filibuster. Now, I'm telling you that with your help, with the help of all of us together, we can do it. And it's kind of like the old ancient Roman trick. They had children take one stick and they could break it easily. Then they put two sticks together and they could break that easily. But then when they got a dozen sticks or more sticks, they couldn't break it because it's too strong. Now, if we stand together and if we put just an infinitesimal part of our financial resources behind it, we can change the effect of some races in this country. And like I said, we only need to change one or two. But we'll do more than that.
Oh, I think so. That's an awfully good idea, Judge, because, you know, friends, nobody wants to see the things that are going to be happening if we let these people get away with some of these lunatic ideas and programs they have. In fact, can we show our Slick Willie golf ball briefly?
Well, I went to a Rush Limbaugh Supper Club meeting the other night, and my congressman spoke. Incidentally, I'm still in his district. And somebody presented him with a golf ball. They call it a Slick Willie golf ball. And they call it a Slick Willie golf ball because it guaranteed a good lie.
You know, friends, there are several things. Of course, it's always too much for us to talk about. We only have a very limited amount of time here. But a lot of things are going on around us. We're watching the South Korean or the North Korean problem, what they may pull against South Korea. Nobody really knows what's going to happen over there. All of us are very concerned that some of these nuts in Washington may want to start something up around the globe somewhere to take some of the heat or some of the public attention off some of these things like Whitewater, these other things that are going on, which really are having, I think, a pressured effect on the president and some of his staff. And of course, we need to keep that heat up, and let's find out what happened in that deal, because these people literally are going to railroad their goofy programs up on us as Americans. You know, we are in, the decent Americans, the conservative, decent Americans are by far in the majority. But friends, we have been literally hushed up for too long. We've got to get out. We've got to make our voice and our vote count. We sincerely have to do that.
Well, it's been a custom in Washington, somewhere in the middle of these midterm elections, to create some sort of a crisis. Mm-hmm. And then when there's a crisis coming, the American people line up and stand behind whatever their leadership is. Mm-hmm. It happened in the Kennedy administration. The Cuban Missile Crisis occurred right there at the midterm elections. And the very senators who were screaming about the Cuban Missile Crisis and urging something to be done and been talking about it, suddenly the president realizes it's there, or says he realizes it's there, and does something, and lo and behold, the people who've been pointing it out all along end up getting defeated in the election. That happened to Senator Capehart, for example.
Well, this is something we're very concerned. This North Korean thing is no joke. If they do have nuclear weapons, they've got a fantastic size army there, and they're doing more than rattling their saber. I mean, these people are in preparation from the things we've seen. They're in preparation for all-out war against the South and against who knows what else. So this is something that we hope, and of course here we are with some people in Washington who know less than nothing about foreign affairs. And I don't know, friends, it's something definitely to be concerned about, and another reason that we need to keep these firearms in our homes, because nobody knows. Just like the blue flu that we heard about last week in Los Angeles, you had a tremendous percentage of the police force just didn't come in to work. Well, what's going to happen when there's no one out there and you're on your own and someone or a gang is breaking in your home and you've got your family there? What you going to do about it if they've taken these guns away from us? because in the end, friends, that's what is going to happen in any sort of society-type breakdown. We're going to have to be able to defend and protect ourselves. And you can look back in the Los Angeles riots when those Korean folks that were guarding their businesses held up, whereas they had businesses all around them burned down. But some of those Korean store owners that stayed there with their guns, they're still in business today with their building. And friends, this is something that is so important. Please join the Shootin' Show Gun Club today if you can. And that number is 1-800-895-7916. You can call. We'll take your MasterCard or Visa. We'll take a check or a money order if you can. Please join the Shootin' Show Gun Club today. It helps us stay on the air. You get your Bullet Express discounts through the catalog. We'll send you a list of our goals and the things that we are doing. So, friends, thank you so much for being with us. We're going to get on back to our program. Sir, do you have anything you want to add?
Yeah, just a little bit, Johnny.
Go ahead.
I showed last week to my secretary, one of my part-time secretaries, and she said it was a good show. She loved it, but she said that she said you look so serious. You look like you were mad, and you ought to smile more. You know, folks, I have a hard time smiling about something that's as serious as this. Perhaps a brainless individual could sit up here and grin like mad. I realize I have a serious look, and I am serious. I'm serious about this, and if you can't join the Shootin' Show Gun Club, then fold up that sheet of paper and drop a dollar bill in it and send it to us. It'll be put to good use, and we'll make a difference in this country.
Darn right. We're going to call that the Shootin' Show Christmas Fund, because nothing would be a better Christmas gift than to get some of these loonies out of office in Washington. That's what has to be done. We're going to have to get control of the House of Representatives. And I'm talking, when I say control, I'm talking about the decent people. Have people there who actually care about how we as Americans feel. The House of Representatives, the Senate, and I don't know what kind of choice we're going to have in the next presidential election, but let's hope it's better than what we've got now. Well, anyway, friends, oh, by the way, our response to our Shootin' Show Lady Contest is great. We're getting some really good tapes in, and please, you ladies out there, go on and send us that tape now of yourself. All you have to do is get in front of a video camera. 5 minutes or less is fine. You don't have to go to a lot of trouble. We've had some people that have really gone to a lot of trouble, but all you have to do is stand there and say why you think we should have the right to keep and bear arms, why you like the Shootin' Show, and why you want to be the Shootin' Show lady. We have some great gifts, that trip to Las Vegas to the Soldier Fortune Convention. This is going to be a great trip for a couple of very fine people that are sending us tapes. So please get those in today. We'll tell you how to do that later on in the show. The Shootin' Show will be right back after this break for your local cable company or TV station. And now, friends, we're going to let J.D. Jones of SSK Industries show you some of his very unique guns, some of the calibers, in fact, that he does offer through his shop. So he has some really entertaining things to show us here. So let's see what J.D. is going to do today.
This is the first 300 Whisper match grade upper. We've shot half-inch groups with 220s, around an inch with 250 grain with it the first time out. These are 250 grain Sierras. They had of 8.9 grains of H110 for about 1,046 feet per second. We're going to try them on the barrel and see if they tumble by the time they get to the back side of a barrel. Okay, this is the first match grade Whisper. Just shooting it as a demonstration. Jane's going to burn 5. Go ahead. That's it. Okay, I'm going to burn 3 just to show the difference between the two of us shooting. There's the boss shooting the match grade Whisper. This is 12.5 gallons of water with the 600 nitro at 1 shot. That's 125 grains of 30-31, a felt wad, and a 950 grain Woodley. Okay, these are the recovered bullets from the 600 nitro. Some of them impacted into solid rock, others hit loose rock and shale. The bullets are 950 grain Woodleys. This is a quarter to demonstrate the relative sizes of the bullet, the muzzle, and the recovered bullet.
And now, friends, we're going to watch a real machine gun being shot with tracers by a friend of JD's.
.303 Bren gun. World War II ammunition, all tracers, made for aircraft machine guns in World War II. British ammo. Now here's as fine a trio of single action revolvers as can be found. The one in the front is a Freedom Arms 50 Action Express. The one on the left and the rear is a Freedom Arms Model 353, 357 Magnum. The one on the scope is equipped with a SSK scope mount and a Bausch & Lomb 4-power scope. That one belongs to Blackie Sleva. Last week he won the Buckmaster's pistol tournament with it, and in just a minute we'll hear from Blackie about it. This is Blackie Sleva. Last week Blackie won the Buckmaster's pistol competition with the Freedom Arms 357 Magnum that he's holding now. Tell us something about your competition, Blackie.
Well, JD, it's an annual event that's held at Hayneville, Alabama every year. It's hosted by the Buckmasters organization. and it's a Top Gun and Bow Outdoor World Championship that's held in conjunction with the Buckmasters organization. And every year we go down and compete for prizes and money. And the thing is, the shoot is held at the Southern Sportsman's Hunting Lodge in a realistic setting in the woods, whereas competitors compete on the same level as though you were hunting in an actual hunting situation. What we do is we shoot at pop-up deer targets or styrofoam targets or three-dimensional targets that have a 8 by 10 inch hit sensor pad. The object of the game is to hit the 8 by 10 inch hit sensor pad on the side of the deer, which represents the vital area. And what we do is we have 3 days of shooting. The first 2 days, of course, are qualifying shoots for the shoot-offs, which are the semifinals and finals. But Thursday and Friday of the shoot, you shoot at 12 targets each day. And you shoot from tree stands as though you were in an actual hunting situation. The pistol targets can be anywhere from 25 to 100 yards. And what you have to do is find the targets in the woods, identify whether it's a buck or a doe, because they may have does come up, which is an illegal shooting situation. Identify the target, be able to come on to target, hit the hit sensor pad on the deer within a matter of a few seconds. You have 4 seconds for the short targets, maybe at 25, 30 yards, up to 14 seconds on the targets that'll come up at 100 yards. Each target's given a point value. And what we do is after the 2 days of shooting, the top 4 shooters go on to the semifinals. This year, after 2 days of shooting, John Pride was in first place. Mickey Fowler was in 4th place. I was in 3rd, and Randy Hendricks was in 2nd. That's the way they ended up. Of course, number 1 and number 4 shooters shoot against each other. Number 2 and 3, and then of course the 2 finalists out of that shoot off. So I edged my competitor out, and John Pride edged his competitor and left us to compete for the World Championship. And of course, John won the toss and got to shoot first. And the thing is, the difficulty of the shoot is with the trees and all the brush, you've got to identify the targets, and you've got to get the targets before they go down on you. They're electronically controlled. And the thing is, there was a couple targets that went down on John. He never got an opportunity to shoot at them. And there was 1 or 2 that he had missed. And of course, when I came to the stand, there was 1 target I couldn't identify. Another one went down on me. I shot at 10 and I got 10. It was enough to edge John out for the win. But of course, in any competition, it takes practice. You've got to shoot. You've got to be a hunter in this competition. You've got to be able to identify deer. And you also need good equipment, and you've got to have the right stuff. I, of course, used the Freedom Arms 353, 357 Magnum revolver, which the Freedom Arms guns are the best made revolver, single action revolvers in the country today. I firmly believe this, and with equipment like this, it's very possible to shoot real tight groups at 100 yards and go down to competition like this and compete. But you've also got to have a good mental attitude. You've got to believe in yourself and believe that you can shoot and compete and win. And along with the proper equipment, like the 353 and the Freedom Arms gun, it really gives a person the advantage. As a matter of fact, the 4 finalists, 3 of the 4 finalists were using Freedom Arms guns, and they are that good, that accurate. Of course, the optics are the Bosch & Lohm. I have the Bosch & Lohm 4-power, fixed 4-power on this gun, and Bosch & Lohm optics, I believe, are the finest optics that I can use for this type of competition. Very clear in the woods when it's dark and you have a lot of shadow. You've got to be able to identify the animals, and you've got to have the ability to be able to see the antlers. And a lot of times when the animals come up against the brush, it's hard to identify. The Bosch and Lone scopes really make a great difference. They really make, they give you the advantage. And some of the other guys, some of the scopes they were using, I looked through them and the clarity just wasn't there. And the clarity is here in the Bosch and Lone line of scopes. Of course, I have T-SAW base and I have the SSK rings, which is the most solid scope mounting system in the world today. And JD does a tremendous job as far as the hardware that you need with the guns to go along with the scope and the fine Freedom Arms gun.
Okay, Blackie's going to show us how that 353 works.
Well, it works a lot better than what I can hold it, but we'll see if we can hit something.
Okay, folks, that's the techniques it takes to win.
We get a couple.
Okay, Blackie's going to hit these first 5 chickens, hopefully. Those all look like they're pretty well centered hits to me.
Friends, we really appreciate JD's efforts on behalf of the Shootin' Show, and for information on the entire line of SSK products, give them a call at area 614-264-0176. Friends, if you would like your gun, be it a handgun or a long gun, to be the absolute best it can be, to function as well as it possibly can, to shoot as well as it possibly can, well, you need to call Corbin Bullet Company at 1-800-626-7266 for the absolute best ammunition at any price that's available out there today. And by the way, they have been a little back ordered on some things because the demand is so great, and believe me, they are making ammunition as fast as they can, but they're still upholding the fantastic quality control that they do have. For information on Corbin ammunition, call them 1-800-626-7266. Corbin, the best there is. Now, friends, if you need a very small yet powerful backup gun, or maybe just a small concealable handgun, you need to think about getting an American Derringer from the American Derringer Corporation in Waco, Texas. On the left of your screen, you see their double action Derringer. That one's in 38 Special. In the middle, you see the Model 1, which is available. This one's in 45 Colt and 410 shot shell. And over on your right, you see another Model 1, which is fitted with the oversized grip. These guns are available in over 60 different chamberings. You literally can find whatever caliber you need for whatever situation you're going to need your gun for. These are of excellent, excellent quality and utility, made of stainless steel. American Derringer. Call them for information, 1-800-642-7817. 1-800-642-7817, and please tell them you saw it on the Shootin' Show. The Shootin' Show will be right back after this break for your local cable company or TV station.
Hi, I'm Bill McIntyre with another update from Capitol Hill here at the new NRA headquarters just outside Washington, D.C. Sarah Brady has announced a nightmarish myriad of anti-gun measures. Believing momentum to be on their side, Brady and company are pushing a host of new anti-gun schemes as a follow-up to the Brady Bill's much-touted first step. The new massive proposal unveiled in December 1993 would place monstrous powers in the hands of federal bureaucrats in Washington, D.C. Here's what they have in mind: handgun licensing and registration. Under the Sarah Brady plan, a photo identification handgun license would be required in order for you to buy or receive any handgun or handgun ammunition. You must submit to fingerprinting, pass a government-mandated safety course, carry liability insurance, and adhere to a permanent 7-day waiting period. What you or your neighbors and friends call a gun collection, Sarah Brady calls a personal gun arsenal. If you possess 20 firearms or 1,000 rounds of ammunition, you would be forced to submit to an intensive federal government check similar to the requirements for machine gun owners. A special arsenal license, substantial fees and taxes would be required, and you would be subjected to on-site security inspections by both federal and local law enforcement agencies. Buying or selling more than one handgun per month for any lawful reasons would be prohibited. To eliminate federal firearms dealers, Sarah Brady is pushing to increase fees to $1,000 per year. Gun dealers would be prohibited from selling at gun shows. Lawful transactions would only occur at their licensed premises. The Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms would be allowed to delay approval for a license for up to 6 months. They would also be able to conduct surprise inspections, as many as 3 times a year, whether it has to do with a criminal investigation or not. The Sarah Brady plan would increase the federal tax on handguns 200% and increase the tax on ammunition nearly 5-fold. The proposal arbitrarily bans the manufacture and sale of firearms and requires registration for their future transfer. Clearly, 1994 will be a busy year for honest gun owners and all Americans interested in preserving our right to keep and bear arms. I'll be back next week with another update from Capitol Hill.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you know this is the Shooting Show, and today we have another type of shooter. This is Gary Scott, and Gary is all the way from Springfield, Missouri. And of course, you got a lot of fine shooters and hunters and a lot of good supporters of this program in Springfield. Gary, we appreciate you coming down today.
No, I appreciate you having me, John.
Well, now, that's obviously not a gun we have. But, you know, friends, these folks in Washington, and we're going to call them what they are. Yes, they are, in fact, Nazi socialists. That's, in fact, what they are. Let's tell the truth about them. The problem is nobody's told the truth about them for a long time, so we need to do that. You know, they're trying to take these guns away. Well, maybe we should brush up on how about bows and arrows. Now, those of you who don't know much about bows and arrows, which I'm one of them, these things have tremendous capabilities in the hands of, let's call Gary an artist, because really someone who can hit very small targets in a hurry, I would classify as an artist with a bow, certainly. Well, Gary, what are you going to show us today?
Well, we're going to talk about instinctive shooting today. That's one of the things that I think a lot of bowyers have got away from right now. And, with the onset of all the new equipment, with the compound bows and the gadgets and stuff like that, I don't think people have really learned to shoot anymore because they've got the sights and everything. And I don't have a thing against compounds. I don't have a thing against releases, nothing against sights. I really think that if people will learn to shoot instinctively, that will just make their use of the sights and the releases and all the things that go with it that much better.
Well, now, so you're telling me something here I didn't know you could do. I didn't know you could shoot a bow instinctively. We talk about instinctive shooting with a handgun or with a shotgun, but with a bow, of course, you're going to demonstrate that for us, right? Well, now, what kind of bow is this?
This is a Black Widow. It's a handmade recurve. It's made just outside of Springfield. And
now, obviously, it is not a compound or what we're used to.
No.
It's, what do you call this profile?
This is a recurve.
A recurve bow. Now, Gary, tell me something. I noticed this is, what's the reason for a recurve, say, versus a compound bow?
Well, the recurve was probably the second bow that was ever invented. The first bow, of course, was a long bow, which is just your proverbial stick with a string.
Right.
And that's very ancient. The first wars were fought with it, right after the sticks and stones.
Well, you know, friends, a while back we had something on the program. Art had a piece, we were talking about longbow versus crossbow. And even as recently as a few weeks ago, Judge Scott mentioned something about the powers that used to be in England would have the men in church congregations bring their bows for practice after church. I mean, they took self-defense and defense of their country real seriously, as we need to do today. So tell me, Gary, how long did it take you from the time you began shooting bows to become what we'd say really proficient at it?
Well, let me tell you a little story that'll help out on that. I practiced for a while, and I thought I was pretty good because I was able to hit a pie plate, which is supposed to be fairly good for deer hunting. And I got caught up on a hill one time in a fairly strong wind in the middle of a bunch of deer. There was 7 of them. The farthest one was about 15 yards. I fired 6 arrows. Never touched a hair. I went home and decided right then that I was going to practice till I knew how to do it.
Till you could do it.
And I went through a year of real hard practice. I mean, an hour a day, real hard practice, and developed a technique. And it doesn't let me down. Now I can just go in, freshen up a little bit, you know, shoot once or twice a week before deer season for a month or two, and I'm ready to go. But the real key to it is getting good the first time.
Well, now, when you go out and practice, how long will you practice at one time?
Oh, usually not more than about 30 minutes, just till you get tired. You know, don't wear yourself out because that causes bad habits.
All right. Why do you prefer, we got a little wind here on the range today, why do you prefer a recurve over, say, a compound bow?
I shot compounds for, I guess, almost 10 years. And quite frankly, it just got too easy to kill a deer. It was just...
So what you're saying, the recurve requires a little more skill?
You have to get closer to the game. Not only the game that you're shooting, but the game of archery. You have to put more into it. And like you were talking about, in England, it used to be a requirement that you shoot your bow. Well, those people who are avid archers know that it's something inside after you get to it. It's not any different than shooting a handgun or anything else that you really love doing. It's something you feel close to.
Well, we're going to let you show us some of the things you do, and maybe you'll give some tips out, because a lot of our viewers are also, they're gun hunters, but they take advantage of the extra season for bows and arrows. And in a survival situation, which a lot of people are camping and things, I can see all kinds of uses for bows, for one thing, from stretching lines across an open chasm type thing, or really it's just not a bad thing to know how to do.
No, it's not.
So let's let you shoot. Now, what size target are you going to be shooting today?
Well, I'm going to do a little instruction on instinctive shooting, and I feel like one of the mistakes that people make when they start out shooting is shooting at too bigger targets. And we're going to be shooting at something about the size of a thumbtack or an aspirin. And this is not necessarily because I'm going to hit it. This is going to be to show you how to get started.
Now then, friends, you can see here's the target, and compared to my fingernail, that's a rather small dot, about the size of an aspirin tablet. So yes, I'm anxious to see how this is going to work.
Well, one of the things he asked a while ago was about why I went to the recurve over a compound. And I was sitting in a tree one day looking at my compound and wondering what I'd do if I broke a cable, or what I would do if my cushion plunger went bad, or what I'd do if my rest fell off and I couldn't get any more. That's when I decided I was going back to the recurve. I'm shooting off the shelf, shooting feathers. There's not much to break. You could make a string out of a baling wire, I guess, if you wanted to. And one of the reasons why we've got the small target is to bring your concentration to a point. Your gun shooters will find the same thing. The more that you can pull your concentration into a small point, the better you're going to hit. 9 times out of 10, you guys that already bow hunt for deer have run into the situations where you shot just under, just over, or just behind the deer. Well, the reason is you're not pulling into a point. You're shooting at the deer, and you'll almost always shoot around it. When you start shooting at a real small point. This will pull your concentration in. It'll also let you know whether or not you're really getting it together.
Well, that's a good point, Gary. You know, we're always saying on these guns, we always look for that front sight, because that is your point. And that's an awfully, in fact, I haven't heard it put like that, but I'm sure it translates the same way.
What I'm going to suggest that you do, use this as a point of mind. Instead of tunnel vision, when you get ready to shoot, to get your focus down to the point, think of it as funnel vision. Bring it all down just at the point of the shot. Now, I didn't hit the dot. But if that dot had been as big as a plate, I might not have hit the plate either. But what I'm doing, I'm preparing myself to pick a spot that small. So whenever I get out at 20 yards, instead of missing it by an inch, I'd be missing it by 18 inches. Because it just magnifies. It's like moving this arrow from one, holding it on the end and moving it back and forth like this.
Now, Gary, you don't have a sight on your bow, do you?
No, no sight. You just look at the point and focus.
Oh. Friends, I'm impressed already.
This is the point I'm trying to make right here. Your arrows really need to be touching. If they're not touching, I never shoot over 3 arrows at a time. The reason being is because I want 2 of them to be touching. If they're not, I need to work on my mechanics. Same thing as with shooting a gun, firearm of any kind. You've got mechanics that you have to adhere to if you want to get any kind of reasonable outcome on your shots. You can't make that shot every time if you're not holding the bow or the gun exactly the same every time.
Well, you're only about a ½ inch away from your aspirin tablet there, Gary. That's, like I said, without sights, of course, you're sighting literally on the point of aim there. Like I said, I'm impressed.
You know, this same thing works. I won't take a shot over 30 yards because I know that's what my limitations are. In most places I hunt, I can't see over 30 yards anyway, so there's not much use in me even trying. So what I do is I start out this close and I move back 5 yards at a time. And I continue shooting at that range until I start getting groups exactly like this. And if they break up, my groups start spreading out, I move back up. If you all will do that religiously for 6 months, practicing every day, then you won't have to go out there and really bust yourself to get ready for season every year. You can go out and you can practice 2 or 3 days a week, and it'll all come back to you just like riding a bicycle.
Well, let's pass your target and do a little more shooting.
All right.
Well, friends, it's happened again. We've run out of time. We're going to have to come back and let Gary Scott finish his archery portion on next week's program. Thank you so much for being with us. Remember, ladies, get your tape in. The Shootin' Show Lady Contest, mail it here at the show. The Shootin' Show, 554 Kings Highway, Shreveport, Louisiana. That zip is 71104. And look, now, we've got a lot to do here with this program. We need you to join the Shootin' Show Gun Club. We look forward to seeing you next time on the next Shootin' Show.